then walked to the bed, careful to avoid the growing pool of blood on the floor beneath the mattress. Lifting the foil packet up for her to see, he winks. "Ribbed. For pleasure." She struggles weakly. The wires around her wrists and ankles have already cut through her flesh. Tyra obviously isn't doing herself any favors, but it's certainly enough to get his juices flowing. Oh, yeah. "See this?" He lifts the scalpel. "I'm gonna cut you open with this, Tyra. Yes, I am. I'm gonna lay open your flat, pretty stomach and eviscerate you. Do you know what that means, cutie?" She thrashes. Her eyeballs are starting to swell and quiver. Oh, yeah. Having fun now. His blood is warming, head a little dizzy. The aroma of death hangs in the sweltering air like the titillating scent of a horny woman. He glances down at the penis. Almost there. Then he raises the hacksaw. "Tyra, are you paying close attention, dear? Now don't die on me yet. Hang on for just a moment longer. You wouldn't want to miss all the fun, would you? I'm gonna cut off your head. I'm gonna put it in that backpack, then we're gonna take a ride out of town where I'll toss the backpack with you in it into the river." Feeling good now. The penis is aroused and jutting from between his legs like a crowbar. Despicably ugly thing, engorged and painful, a constant source of trouble. Big, deep breath. Remove the condom from the packet and put it on. Careful, careful. Oh, yes. Stroking himself now, pumping gently, sweat rising. Her eyes begin to glaze and her chest rattles. She makes a pitiful attempt at squirming, which excites him more, and he strokes himself harder. Come, Tyra," he says through his teeth. "You can do better than that." The psychologists who had profiled him 4 years ago had termed him a domineering serial killer, a killer who enjoys seeing his victims suffer. Correct. He gets off on inspiring fear. Correct again. He gets more enjoyment from the victim's fear, from feeling a sense of control and power over another human being, than he does from the actual killing. They were off a little on that one, but hey, no one is perfect. This murderer does not suffer from delusions, visions, or voices. He is totally aware of what he is doing and may be very well versed in the laws and penal codes of this area. Nailed it. He had been tempted to send the team of head shrinkers a booby prize for their extreme intelligence, but mutilating a woman's finest assets had been a little too distasteful even for him. The somewhat disconcerting idea occurs to him that perhaps Tyra isn't afraid to die, even embraces the idea. Not that he blames her. Surely death is preferable than this sordid life of whoredom. Night after night of spreading her legs for any disease-infected creep who has a hard-on and is willing to pay for his satisfaction. Suddenly Mick Jagger's voice rings inside his head. Can't get no satisfaction. As if good old Mick had a problem with that. Yeah, right. What was it about women who didn't give a flying frog about how ugly a man is as long as he has money and acclaim? Let some dude get his name on Entertainment Tonight and he is grade A #1 prime beef. Fame and success were aphrodisiacs to the female species. He's willing to bet that Jerry Hall wouldn't have looked twice at Mick had he been a CPA, or better yet, the mechanic who changed the spark plugs in her Ferrari. He realizes then that Tyra is dead. She hadn't so much as given a shudder. Her eyes are frozen open and void as 2 copper pennies. Looking down at his penis, he watches it shrivel and the condom droop like a deflated balloon. Damn. One. Branson, Missouri. Holly Jones drifted on the edge of sleep too exhausted to fight it, yet too happy over the day's events to give in yet to her dreams. She wanted to relive every wonderful moment, cherish them, exult in the pleasure she had experienced, surrounded by people who loved her. She could still taste the sweet marzipan icing of her birthday cake, hear the joyous, if not slightly off-key, rendition of Happy Birthday Holly, candles glowing, presents stacked high with bright ribbons and cards that declared her friends' love and devotion. At long last, life was good. Life was wonderful. How long had she dreamed of this? Bright balloons formed a dancing wall around her and overhead. They made her laugh as she batted them aside, the chorus of Happy Birthday Holly resonating in the air as tears rose in her eyes. When had she last been this happy? She felt as buoyant as the shimmering balloons that glowed with a strange iridescence from inside. And when she looked harder, she realized that within each colorful globe burned a birthday candle, and within each tiny flickering flame she saw the faces of her friends. Peggy Sue Milligan, whose bouffant hair could withstand hurricane-force winds. Fred Kinopensky, a retired Air Force captain who had been injured in Iwo Jima and who considered her as precious as the granddaughter he had lost to breast cancer 10 years ago. Clarence McCarthy, who had taken her under his wing and trusted her enough to manage his prized gift shop, and hinted that soon she would be capable of running the entire motel, so he and his wife Luann could at last retire and enjoy this bit of Shangri-La in the Ozarks. She held up her wrist to display the watch Clarence had given her for her 28th birthday, a Timex whose face was emblazoned with the likeness of the Orange Blossom Inn. Not the finest watch she had ever owned, far from it, but the best, because it had been given to her out of love. Suddenly she stood outside of the gift shop, looking back through the glass doors into Peggy Sue's smiling, wrinkled face, which was bracketed by a revolving rack of Branson, Missouri postcards and another of plastic keychains. "Careful round them corners, hun," Peggy Sue shouted. No chance of taking any corners on 2 wheels. Not in the Ford she had picked up for a whopping $1,000 before settling into Bright Light's big city Branson, live entertainment capital of the world. Holly pumped the accelerator 3 times before the Taurus started. It humped its way out onto the highway, hesitated, gulping for gas like an animal gasping in death throes. Holly struggled to open her eyes. Something had awakened her. She turned her head and looked at the glowing bedside lamp. She'd fallen asleep before turning it off. The phone rang. She glanced at the bedside clock. 2 a.m. Few people had her number, just those she had worked with after arriving in Branson 6 months before. She thought of Captain Fred and his bad heart, and the fear that something had happened to him since she had left her birthday party hours ago. Or Peggy Sue, whose diabetes too often sent her to the hospital in a near coma. She slipped from the bed and hurried to the phone, rubbing her eyes, and froze as she looked down at the caller ID. Out of area. Only one person outside of Branson had her phone number, and she had been cautioned never to call Holly unless there was an emergency. Cautiously, she lifted the receiver to her ear. Too late. Whoever called had hung up. Releasing her breath, Holly gently replaced the receiver. A wrong number, perhaps. Sure, that was it. She glanced around the dimly lit apartment. Sofa, chair, and Formica dining set provided by Lonesome Dove Apartments, as was the fridge and the bedroom suite. She preferred it that way. No ties. If she needed to up and leave again at short notice, she needn't worry about moving anything but a few pots and pans, linens, and clothes. All could fit neatly in the back seat of the Taurus. The kitchen was a narrow rectangular jut off the dining area. standing on...
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.